Welcome to the end of Who Should You Choose in NHL 25, the final episode before we switch over to NHL 26. Now, yesterday we got the Hut deep dive, and I did a full breakdown of everything that they showed off. I just want to touch on some of the high points that I saw after the initial reaction to the announcements and everything that's coming in Hockey Ultimate Team. So, first off the rip, the salary cap. That's obviously going to be one of the biggest points of contention because it's an ultimate team mode. That means ultimate. You can build whatever team you want. And anytime that you add a restriction, obviously that's going to create a friction point. Now, the other side of that coin is that with a restriction in place, it does kind of keep that rubber band effect in place. So they showed an example of a team that was essentially every single icon and hero, basically all of the best cards you could get at launch of the game. And it was over the salary cap. And some people posted in there that if they take out their backup goalie, it would lower the cost. And that's going to be the meta. Just finding, like, I have a feeling that early on, whoever is the lowest overall goalie available in game, that card is going to be max price for that card, simply because it is the lowest salary cap hit. And backup goalies don't mean anything in this game. Synergies are gone, so they really don't matter. But that being said, I think that at launch in the first month of the game, it's actually going to be great. Simply because the people that pay $5,000 or $1,000 and or even like myself, where I play the game for a living, so I'm just playing it an obsessive amount. But there are people out there that got a lot of free time. They play a ton and they end up with a really stacked team. And for a majority of the 99% of the player base, it kind of sucks because we can't really compete or keep up. But in reality, that really doesn't matter. That being said, though, because the salary cap's in effect, it's really only going to impact the high spenders and the high time users that are in game, which is kind of crazy. You rarely ever see a company hinder the players that want to spend money or the most amount of time, the hardcore player base. I'm all for that early on. I had my fears of the salary cap, and I want to explain them a little bit because I think some people said, we're thinking that I meant that because you don't spend the players that spend money are going to be upset that that's a bad thing. That's not what I'm saying. In December, okay, like 2 months in, because I keep forgetting that it's the beginning of September and 2 months into the game is actually November. The players that play regularly, okay, I'm talking like up to 5 to 10 hours a week. If it works the same as in last year, where you can essentially make a master set item for free, master set player items look to be around 6-7 million or 5 to 6 million salary, and you could get a pretty stacked team. And the salary cap is going to go up every season, but if we ever get to a point where the I don't want to say the hardcore grinders that are no money spent, but yeah, I guess that'd be the case. When they get to the point where they've caught up to the salary cap ceiling and they can't add new cards to their team because they've built such a good team, that's where I think it's going to become really frustrating. Now, in all honesty, the salary cap is very high, and what I will anticipate is that they just make it so high that you just can't have the best cards throughout your entire lineup, which is a good thing. But I also fear that they don't raise it enough, and we're stuck with, not being able to use the cards we want. And that's going to be really frustrating, I think. My other thoughts on ranked. It's going to take me a while to get used to that. I'm very curious to see the ranked rewards. I really don't understand them. It hasn't been explained fully, and I'm trying to get the info on how it works. But in the deep dive, it showed that essentially as you rank up, you don't get into a division. You get into, you won a couple games, you're now in bronze 3. You win a couple more, you're in bronze 2, and so on and so forth. If you lose, you don't go down. If you win, you get another notch under each ranking. So it looks like it's around 80 to 100 wins to get all the way to the ultimate tier. I was under the assumption that, only the best players that are in Division 1 are going to get to the end to get to ultimate. Okay, it's competitive play, so I thought that's how it worked, which I figured would be pretty rough because majority of the player base can't get, past Division 3 or even lower, that like the majority of the player base. So they're just stuck in like gold. That's not the case because the wins are cumulative, right? So you can get to ultimate, it might take you 300 games or 200 games, but eventually you're going to win. My issue with it is when you lose, you don't go down. So here's the issue or the thing I need to know. Who are you matching up with? Because I'll give you a scenario here. if you win a couple games, you get a couple quit outs, and you're a Division 4 player. And now you're into you've played a ton, and now you've gotten into Platinum, which it looks to be Division 2, I think. I don't know. It's very hard to reiterate. Since you can't go down, are you only matching Platinum players? And if that's the case, you're going to get to a point where every win is only going to happen every 10 games. Like, the players that are not super skilled are going to get crushed at a certain point. It doesn't look like the system is set up to make you go 500. It looks like it isn't as skill based as you would think. There's a little bit of that because you can only match up with players that have won a certain amount of games. I'm very curious to see how this plays out. Is there a rating in the background that will match you? I just don't know, because if it's to the point where, let's say early on, let's say your first 5 games, you just get 5 quit outs, okay? And you get into silver, but you're a Division 6 player. You're stuck in silver now. You're only going to match people in silver. Like, you might not win a game for like a week. And let me tell you, I think that the best players, if they compete online, and you should be rewarded. However, what's going to happen is if the game is too hard, it just pushes away a lot of the player base, right? Like, same thing if it's too easy, right? If you just blew through the XP path, we saw that. What happens when you finish the XP path at the beginning of NHL 25? It was so easy and there was no rewards. It was like, okay, now what? There's nothing to do, right? You get bored. And it's the same thing when things are too hard. So I'm very curious to see how this format works for ranked. Very curious. It does look like Cup Chase, the new squad battles, is repeatable rewards. Now, which is interesting because technically, if you wanted to, you could sit there for a week straight, just play Cup Chase, and get infinite rewards. I don't know if there's ever been a time where EA NHL has allowed you to get infinite rewards that wasn't like Packpocalypse or a glitch. So that's kind of cool. It is going to take you quite some time to get those rewards from squad battles because it essentially takes you 22 games, and it doesn't look like you can lower the timer in game. It looks like you can change the difficulty, which then impacts the level of rewards. But it's interesting. And you can't just quit out to get to the playoffs and then win the playoffs. You could do that, but you're missing out on the go undefeated pack, which was that was a good move by them to put that in, because you could just quit out, get to the playoffs, and make everything a lot faster. But because that one pack's in there, I'm hoping that pack is the best pack you can earn. Because if not, then people will just farm it by going, So that'll be very interesting to see. When it comes to my optimism or my excitement for the game, extremely high. This isn't like the same as it is every year where I'm just excited because it's the launch of the game. I'm excited because I got to play the game a little bit and I have no idea where I'm going. Like, in the sense of, like, there's so much going on that you have to learn, and I'm just excited. That means that there's new stuff. Like, I spent a couple hours last night going through like sets and things like that, and the new modes and the reward paths, and just trying to like figure everything out. And then you've got the line combinations. We'll get into that in a second, but it was just like, this is all new to me for the most part. Very excited for that aspect, because that means that there is actually a new feel to the game. Now, after we get a month in and we figure everything out, it looks like from the deep dive that the events are going to operate very similar. You trade in a couple cards, you get a higher overall card, you trade a couple of those higher overall cards in, then you can make a Master Set player item, which is a very boring and done out format. But how we build our team, not how we get the content, but how we build our team, appears to be quite different. Now, let's talk about line combinations, because a lot of people assumed when they were bringing back chemistry that if you loaded your team full of Toronto Maple Leafs, you would get a massive boost, so you could make a full theme team. And then they showed us line combinations. So it's like you get 3 Anaheim Ducks together, they get a +1 overall. And even that was like, okay, because you could get 3 Anaheim Ducks together, and then it's like, okay, but I also like the Leafs, so I get 3 Leafs together, so on and so forth, right? It doesn't look like that's the case. It looks like it's curated combinations set by EA for salary cap, AP, and overall increases, right? And when I saw that, I immediately said, like, they did a great job of making it so that we have a ton of options to build our team. Like, if you're in division, let's say you play online, the hardcore players, okay? Your teams shouldn't be the same, because there is so much that goes into, upgrading your team in different ways. With the certain line combinations, that kind of defeats that purpose a little bit. It's not going to be completely where everything's the same, but there will be certain cards that are inherently so much more valuable simply because of that lineup combination. So I gave an example of, let's say, one of the combinations was for a +2 overall boost to overall. Okay. And it's an Avalanche player, a Winnipeg Jet, and a Utah Mammoth. I think that's the example I used. Okay. So you get 3 cards like that, and you get a +2 overall to those cards. There's also a boost for +1 or +2 AP ability point increase, and it's 2 Canadians and an American. Now imagine if you were able to get McKinnon, Scheifele, and Clayton Keller. Those 3 cards are out. McKinnon's going to be expensive regardless, so disregard that. But those other, like those cards that can hit multiple combinations are going to be so expensive and price locked that only the hardcore players will be able to obtain them, essentially. So then we're into a situation where everyone's kind of got the same team, and the players that just play casually or whatnot just really can't take advantage of those bonuses, right? So I hope that there's like 20 different combinations for each one. I hope there's an excessive amount, and it doesn't defeat the purpose of what the chemistry system or the line combination system that they're implementing was intended to do, right? That's my fear. I just hope that, in my opinion, I think there should be a combination for every team. I mentioned this to EA that there should be every season there should be, because these will reset each season, which is another thing to remember, because if you go all in, spend all your coins and your stuff making these bonuses, the next season kicks over, and now those cards might not be a part of that combination. It's not going to be a Jet, a Mammoth, and an Avalanche. It might be a Flame, a Shark, and a Kraken. And now those cards have lost a lot of their value. And then it makes it interesting. I will say that. It makes it very interesting. It's just obviously a frustration point, and it's going to be a learning curve, and I just hope it doesn't push players away, especially the casual players. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. Very curious. And the last thing I want to touch on the line combinations, my early guess, seeing that cards get multiple elite X Factor abilities. I talked about this a few times. I was scared. Not scared. That's a silly word to say. I was concerned that these new rebuilt X Factors, they all are good, except for Hipster. I really don't think Hipster is. They're all good, which is a good thing. I think that they needed to do that. If they're going to keep X Factors in the game, make them impactful, like make them actually useful so that there's a choice, right? Like what we ended up with was like 6 of the same X Factors all year last year because all the other ones just weren't good, right? They just didn't hang. So I'm glad that because I've mentioned this before, without custom strides and without custom shots, X Factors are the only thing that makes HUT cards feel different. That's it, right? So until that's in the game, X Factors are the only thing that make cards feel different. So I like X Factors in HUT. I think that it's an extremely arcadey experience of gameplay, but the alternative is like every card feels the exact same, and that's unfortunate, right? So I'm not big on X Factor abilities. Don't get it twisted. I'm saying that in the current, what we have, I'd prefer X Factors over nothing. So that being said, when I saw base Connor McDavid, he had like elite edges. They needed to change the name of that. They needed to just call it edges, like elite edges, which is the highest tier of elite edges. Elite edges is going to remain one of the best card or abilities in the game. He also had elite quick release and elite ankle breaker, I think. Regardless, he had 3 elite abilities. Okay, now let's say that we can only get 7 AP points available to us, right? Very limited. I hope it's very limited. You wouldn't be able to activate 3 abilities on McDavid. So what I think is going to happen, everyone is going to chase the overall bump early on in the game. So cards that can give you, line combinations that can give you +1 or +2 overall to those cards. And it looks like speed's included, which is huge. I think AP is going to be more important, because abilities are more impactful than a +2 to any stat. Any stat. So even speed. Like I would take a card that has 86 speed that if I got an AP boost would get elite quick release over 88 speed without elite quick release, right? Like as an example. I think especially early on. So that's my guess. I don't think the salary cap boosts are going to be useful at all. I think people are going to ignore them because the salary cap is so high that the only time that the salary cap is going to come into play is if you have an excessive team. Like, I'm talking, you spend a band in game. Please don't do that. Like, just if you're following my channel, I promise you, you can get an unbelievable God Squad without playing 100 hours and without spending any money. I promise you. I show you every year how to do that. So that I'm very curious to see how that plays out, but that's my guess early on. Let's get into some of the last questions from the last video or some of the last comments. These are the most liked ones, so I went through and I found them. So Jesse says, Hut prediction. This is a long-term prediction. We are going to see a similar launch to 25, where a lot of people feel slightly underwhelmed with the market and packs overall. This, although will still leave a healthy player base, will force people away from Hut. Then May comes, and we see an exit. Okay, I see. I don't know if a little bit of broken English here. We see an exit like no other. GTA 6 is going to make the lobbies feel like it's August. My theory is why it feels like a light content year, as they know this year is a write-off with how it will go in May. I think that GTA is making releases from game developers move things up. That I agree with 100%. No matter what, though, GTA will be a release like none other. I completely agree with you that it is going to be. It's the first $1 billion game. It will be bigger than gaming itself. Like, it will be bigger than Twitch. Twitch will be GTA, and then every other game and channel is this small, like, niche offshoot. It is legitimately going to overtake everything. Completely agree with you. I will be playing in May. I will be playing exclusively GTA with NHL on content days. I can promise you that already. But that being said, you can't plan for that. And in May, everyone's pretty much gone anyways, because that's not just NHL, that's all sports games. You go look at MLB, once October hits, MLB falls off a cliff in terms of its player base because people just aren't into baseball as much. Same with Madden, same with FIFA. Again, it's a percentage. So FIFA has 1 billion players, but a massive percentage falls off once their seasons end, right? So that isn't really going to change anything. When it comes to NHL 25, I think we're used to I don't think we'll get less rewards than what we got last year at the end of the year. So rewards, if you remember at the launch of the game, were abysmal because they didn't test anything. They didn't quality test. They had no idea what was going to happen when they put the XP path in and all of that, and then they had to course correct for like the next 5 months. I think they learned, and I think that we're going to get very similar rewards to what we got at the end of NHL 25. And that's like okay because we got used to it, right? If it's less, that sucks. But I don't think that'll... I think what will push people away is the confusion. Like how we get how we make our teams, how we get cards, things like that. It's a lot of new stuff, which is great, but I think it will confuse a lot of the casual players. This series has been fantastic with rebranding and podcast focus. I hope you bring back the audio podcast as well. I've thought about this, guys. The reason why I haven't is, one, simply it's just an extra added step. It takes a little bit more time to actually put together the MP3 to upload to everywhere else. The other thing is that, like, it's a revenue generator for me for on YouTube. I can't put ads or anything on a podcast. So selfishly, like, doing these episodes, I try to do them daily. So that's why I'm being completely transparent here. So that's why I think that, like, YouTube is like just the main thing. Also it because it's going to be like Hut related, people aren't searching podcast like audio for that. I will say this: if you watch a lot of YouTube, I bought YouTube Premium. This is not a sell. Like, I'm not getting anything if you do it. YouTube Premium has been worth it to me. It allows you to close out the app. So, like, if you're watching a video, you can literally close your screen. Like, you can just close your screen and it will still play, which is a scuff feature. It's an annoying feature that's only available in Premium. But you also get no ads. So if you watch an hour of YouTube a day, just do the math on if that's worth it for you. I've loved it. I will never not have YouTube Premium. Always the first source of Hut. Always the first source for all Hut related content. Appreciate all you do, Sleeves. 25, in my opinion, wasn't all that bad. I enjoyed it, and from a high level, won't be too critical. It scratched my itch, filled my time, and I had fun doing it. Was there frustration? Sure, there always will be, and honestly, there should be. If it wasn't hard, everyone would do it. If it's the hard that makes it great. I enjoy that philosophy in life. Video games, man, are supposed to be something that extracts you from the stress of life. If they cause any stress, you got to put them down. And that's where I slightly disagree with that. It shouldn't be, you know what I mean? Like, this year will be exciting. The first weekend is going to be insane. We'll all be trying to figure out how it works 100%. Make our game plans and start creating the best team we can with all the new content, with salary cap and chemistry system. I'm hoping this adds more creativity and not everyone with the same lineups chasing the same cards. In a perfect world, hopefully it allows us to make our own dream teams with our favorite players and not only the highest overall cards. For me, that will be the most interesting aspect to look forward to. Big money whale god squads may not be so easily obtainable by swiping your credit card. You may have to work at it, and we'd all be fools to think after a few days someone will figure out how to go about working the system and making a great squad under the cap with all the chemistries possible. But hopefully we can all then have our own different versions of it. I'll look back at this post and see what transpired, and if this was a close prediction or if it's another Leafs Cup run and in the toilet early on. Good luck and see you in the game. Love that, buddy. Completely agree. I think it's just going to be super interesting. No idea how it's going to work. Very interesting. Sleeves, I got to push back on your take about custom strides and shots and how hard they are to do. I've been beating this drum since it's not tough to do from a technical standpoint. If you look at the player customization currently in game, it's a bunch of sliders 0 to 99. They have 5 players with custom strides. They did this once but stopped. They had they kept going and even done 5 each year, we'd be at 25 at this point. For the players that have custom strides, McDavid as an example, you used in this video. Do you even know that they are good? Do you even know that they are a good model of the player or just that they are custom strides? The reason I bring this up is the more players should just have custom strides and shots. It doesn't need to be 100% accurate or even 60% accurate. We just want the players to feel unique. From a technicals perspective, this is super easy to do, as we are just setting numbers between 0 to 99 and just need to be somewhere realistic. EA could have had an intern or summer student bang out a ton of custom strides over the course of the summer, even with 60% accuracy. This isn't a tech issue. This is an EA priority issue. Okay, a couple things here, man. So he's talking about the custom strides and shots, and I stated that it's literally impossible for the size of the dev team to undertake 700 players custom strides. I think that the Edge agreement that they entered into in a few years, hopefully they can use AI and all of the tracking available to automate it. That's the only way it's going to happen. So, a couple things here. They have 5 players with custom strides. Completely random. Me and my man Padre talked about this ad nauseum. Those are the only players that really feel different skating. Connor McDavid has a custom stride. Jack Eichel, that's why his card always feels good. He has a custom stride. So does Nathan McKinnon, one of the fastest players in game. So does Andrei Svechnikov, and I believe the last one is Artemi Panarin randomly. Completely random. It is almost as if someone went into the roster guy devs like cubicle during lunch one time, sat down, messed around with it, and then just left, and then they didn't take it out of the game. There is no rhyme or reason for those 5. There is no authenticity to it. So your next point is, for the players that do have custom stride, and David, an example, do you even know if they are a good model of the players? The reason I bring this up, they should have custom strides and shot. It doesn't need to be 100% accurate. What is the point then, man? It's a sports game. The one thing that I want is realism. I would rather take the generic everyone skates the same than Macklin Celebrini randomly having his right arm straight out while he's skating, all for the sake of him having a custom stride. That is a mess. Completely disagree there. If you're not gonna do it right, don't do it at all. That would be a disaster, right? And then you mentioned the tech standpoint, so how they actually change it. You can go in and actually edit each player's stride already. He's right. It is slider 0 to 99. Do you know how long it would take to actually get someone, a human being, to go in and actually make it study how they skate, get views of how they skate, and then manually do that? Like, I don't even know if I could do one in an 8-hour time frame by just looking at how they skate in a video. Like, I don't know how it would be extremely difficult. So, like, I understand that you want them in game and you don't think it's very difficult from a tech issue. You're right. It's not a tech issue. It is legitimately a resource issue. That would be, I don't even know the manpower time required to do that in game. In MLB, it's a little bit different because, again, everything is tracked to the 1000th degree. Every angle, every geometric way that a player moves, it is all just done automatically, and then obviously developers go in and mix and match a little bit, and it's only just it's one stride. You can watch the mechanics of a player very easily. A stride is, and then a shot, like, you would have to get 100 examples. I don't know, man. I just don't see how that's, gonna be possible. RE, the custom shots and strides. I think they should be reaching out to any college junior player that they can, they bring in and try to pay for a couple days worth of mocap of them imitating the top players in the game. This is how they could do it on a budget. SDS literally has a few guys that do almost all the mocap for custom swings. Cheap mocap plus video plus NHL Edge plus AI should be more than enough to add the custom strides and shots every year. That's a good point. The MLB, they just have a guy do it, mimic it in real life, but you still have to get someone to like memorize how they swing and watch it. I guess technically, but skating strides and shot strides are so much different, more difficult than an MLB swing, than a baseball swing. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, like that would be one way to do a little bit of it. If they fix, you can't see it here. If they fix menu lag, it would be enough for me to be happy. The new menu system has so much less friction. I showed it in my deep dive video. It takes 2 clicks to get into a game in any mode. In Rivals and Champs, it took like 7. I will be curious to see how fast it is to make sets, to navigate inside a mode, all of that. I hope that isn't still the same. We'll have to wait and see. Same with multi-select and things like that. I hope to God it's back, but we'll have to wait and see. 175 episodes of Who Should You Choose, guys. I want to thank everyone that is still watching these. 175 20 to 30-minute episodes. I had a blast doing it. Coffee and Shell, which is what Who Should You Choose will become, will kick up. I will have my first episode of it maybe Saturday after launch, early access launch. I am doing a subathon starting September 8th on Twitch, meaning that every sub adds 6 minutes to the clock. It is uncapped, so it could go a month. I sleep on stream, I play on stream, I edit videos on stream. If you want to come and take part, come check me out. And I will be doing a launch stream on September 5th, and some pretty exclusive videos coming out before that as well. So thank you guys again for watching. I'll see you in a couple days on the next Coffee and Shell.